Welcome to the Protein Bros podcast. On today's episode, we have a very special guest, Jesse Thomas, the owner of Active Strength in Lee Summit. We talked everything there is to know about kids' sports performance. We talked about him starting the gym, and we talked about his previous athletic career and how that transfers over to what he does every day in his gym. It was a great episode. If you have kids or you have any kind of interest in wanting to increase your athletic ability, this is the podcast for you. I think you guys are going to like it. Let's get you to the episode.
You saw the standard setter?
No, what?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, what's that?
We started releasing a workout from Supplement Superstores every month.
Uh-huh.
And it's called the Standard Setter. And basically what it is, it's a High Rocks type workout, but it's just meant to suck. It's just meant to like test people's ability to kind of stick with it, kind of like a High Rocks
does sound like
size, you know.
I had it ready.
But do you run at all?
I'm not a big runner. I used to.
Jeff's not a runner either. He did it too.
Yeah.
Took me 50
How
minutes.
was that? Yeah.
Time cap was an
I
hour.
love that I say Jeff's not a runner. Like I'm a supreme runner.
I don't run on purpose, you know. So
Only if he's being chased.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
If you see me running, as the saying goes,
It's
you better
Mike-
start running too.
It's a Mike
'cause I'm running
Taylor
from something.
Mike Taylor quote.
So running is
Originally
different
Andy
from
Frisella quote.
sprinting. I sprint. I do not run. I'm 100 meters max. That's my always.
What'd you
been
say
my
you
thing.
played in football? What position?
Running back.
Running back.
In college too.
Yep.
So, how did you feel about the Kenneth Walker III signing by the Chiefs?
I love it. I mean, he's dynamic. I love watching him play. I had a parlay that he didn't hit. They took that touchdown back that he had in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the only.
He's going to make it up for it this year.
I
though,
was say
dude.
that's the
It's
only
gonna
thing
make
I'm
you money
upset
back.
with him about. He can ball.
Yeah. I mean, it was the most excited I've been about a Chiefs signing in a long time.
Yeah.
I hope that Andy Reid's chip on his shoulder from people thinking like his offense is like, you know, he's getting too old, and you know, I think we're gonna have a top 5 offense this year.
We will need another back though, because while he's a great runner, that's pretty limited.
Right.
Yeah, his hands are pretty terrible, and pass blocking is a little suspect.
Yeah.
But running the rock, the man is a GOAT. He's really good.
You don't like his hands though?
Nah, I don't. I mean, from what I've seen, he's had a lot of
Like he can catch a screen.
right. Yeah,
With you, but
Give
he's
him a
not
little-
running routes.
Nah.
Rashard Smith, that 7th rounder we got, you know him.
I'm not familiar too much with his game.
He was a wide receiver for Miami,
He's good.
and then he transferred to SMU, and they put him at running back. He rushed for 2,000 yards or something crazy his senior year.
Gotcha.
And so now Rashard Smith's 7th rounder with the Chiefs, but he was a former receiver, right? Converted running back.
Okay.
So it's, you know,
There
maybe
we
a
go.
Jerick
1-2.
McKinnon,
I like that.
maybe.
Yeah.
We'll probably get another guy too, you know. But you saw we got Amari DiMercato as well from the Cardinals, who is also like a 3rd down back.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty set in the running back room. But
Who you want to see taken with our first
2
our
first round picks.
our
dude.
first pick, or the first 2, or what position?
Well, I mean, it looks like we definitely need to address the defensive back position somewhere. Safety,
yeah.
safety corner. I'd love to see something there.
Yeah, we lost 3 out of 4 starters, I think,
Yeah.
at the Chiefs.
Yeah. So
That'd be a good call. There's that Caleb Downs dude from Ohio State that they're already putting in the Hall of Fame. So we'll see.
I love it.
But they're giving him all kinds of credit.
Does he make it to? I mean, isn't he the best defensive back in this draft?
Safety, yes. Corner would be Mansour Delane. Is it? Am I saying his right? Mansour Delane. He's the corner from LSU.
Yeah.
He'll probably be a top 10 pick. But they said something about Kyle Hamilton back in the day, like he should have been a top 10 pick because of his talent. But safeties, because they're so cheap on the open market,
Like
it's
running backs.
just like running backs, it's hard to make them a top 10 pick because if you can get that rookie salary, right, for 3 out of the 5 years where they're killing it,
Yeah.
and you're getting them for cheap, it makes more sense. And so the wide receiver position, the offensive tackle, the D end, all of those go quicker. Obviously, quarterback.
Ruben Bain Jr. Is this the one? He's got short arms, dude. This is a
No.
problem.
He could play 3 technique though. He can go in on the D tackle. We'll see.
Now it's tough what they done with us running backs. Like I think my son would be a perfect running back, but I'm like, man, you gotta make a business decision. Running backs don't last long.
Right.
You might want to try a slot or something. Be a little, quick slot. Get the ball like Wes Welker and get out of there. So
yeah, man, I agree. I mean, that's a tough, like, they said defensive end, like the edge is by far like the most popular position now for guys that wanted to play tight end or wanted to play linebacker. It's like they're all wanting to play edge just because they're all getting over $40 million
big
now.
money. Yeah, just to go do one thing, go get that quarterback.
Isn't that crazy, dude? That's wild. They don't even call them defensive ends anymore. I was like, when did they just start calling them edge
rush,
and just like left it? You know what I mean?
Well, because now it can be a linebacker or an actual defensive end.
But they always could have been. Like Lawrence Taylor got after the quarterback like crazy. He was just linebacker.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he was a middle linebacker, or was he an edge linebacker?
He was. I don't know. He's got a ton of sacks.
Yeah,
I don't think he was running up the A gap.
Yeah,
I think he was.
Was he?
Hey, he was everywhere.
On cocaine.
I'm about to say coked out everywhere, killing it. Man.
Probably still is, man.
Right,
dude.
So thank you for being on the podcast, man. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the relationship our business has had with your gym and the support your gym's given us over the years. And I think it's about time that we give your gym a highlight. So tell us about Active.
Well, Active, man, it's a sports performance facility. We focus on the athlete. We want to make you explosive. We want to make you fast. We want to make you strong. So we put a lot of love into our youth athletes. We start young, 6, 7 years old, and we try to build them up. But middle school, high school, collegiate, we have professional athletes in our facility as well. And then we try to take that same philosophy and, apply it to the adults that walk in our gym as well. So we recently became an High Rocks affiliate, so we do a lot of stuff, functional fitness, essentially. A lot of strength and functional fitness. We want you to move good. We want you to feel good at the end of the day. We want you to feel like you felt when you were a middle school, high school athlete. So that's what we're all about, man.
Cool, man. What's the number one thing that you see happening in sports performance right now that is not good? Like, what do you think is the biggest
concern, man?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people jumping into the space, and you guys have been doing it a long time. Yeah. And so what kind of concerns pop up as you see more and more gyms start to offer this without maybe as much, background knowledge as you guys have?
Yeah, well, the biggest concern is for the kids and the families that they are over and influencing. Sports performance training can be an amazing thing, an amazing tool to help your athlete be a well-rounded athlete, be better at what they do. I think one of the biggest things you see is people try to make it sport-specific all the time, and I think that's detrimental. I think some of your best athletes, just like Patrick Mahomes, played multiple sports. Yeah. He throws a football. He changed the game of quarterback because he played baseball, right? And those movements, those patterns, he learned because he did multiple things. You see a lot of trainers now who they only know one way of doing it. I see people trying to pretend to be athletic trainers, but they're really PTs. They, personal trainers. They know bodybuilding. They don't really know how the athlete should move. Building muscle like a bodybuilder will not do the same trick on the field. You'll be strong, but you won't be able to move well. And that's what I see a lot from unexperienced athletic trainers, performance trainers.
So what's the main difference, like from a programming standpoint? What are you working on as an athletic performance coach versus just a personal trainer?
Excuse me. I think understanding the objective, what the kid needs, where they're at in their development, and what sport they play. So we have group classes where we touch on everything, right? We can't be as specific with an individual, but we understand what most sports need, right? Plyometrics to be explosive, strength development, but again, lifting in certain phases. There's a point to do strength phase. We got to, we want to be strong, of course, but there's also a point of, no return where you get too big, you get too stiff, and you can't move like you once did. So understanding what, eccentric lifts are and concentric lifts are, isometric lifts and what they do for an athlete and when they use them and why and how far out from a competition. All these things matter when you're really doing it, when you're working with high-end athletes, right? But at the beginning of the stage, it's just building a good foundation and understanding the elements and when to put them to play.
Mm-hmm. How long have what's your background in sports performance? Like, kind of give us a rundown of what led you to wanting to open this gym.
Yeah, well, I was a football player all of my life. I went to college, played ball. I loved it. All-American for, NAIA guy. I loved what I did. The only thing I can envision myself doing was either playing in the NFL, playing sports, or doing something involved with sports, owning my own gym, being a GM for a sports team. I just really didn't know what it was going to be. So in college, I got my degree in sports management. In our school, we didn't have a law department, so it wasn't really like contracts like you would think sports management. It was more so teaching you how to run your own facility or be a GM or athletic director. So that's kind of how it started. And then I got an internship in college with a company called Athletic Republic. At the time, they were the leading sports performance franchise in the world. I'm not sure if they still are. Going into my senior year of college to play ball, I tore my ACL. And I was given basically an opportunity. The school told me, hey, you got 2 credits left. You could take them online, move on with your life, or if you want to come back to play your senior year, just, drop out of school essentially, rehab, come back. But because I had my internship with Athletic Republic and I did so well, when I decided to drop out of school, they hired me full time. So for that next year, I rehabbed, I worked out, and I worked the whole year. I came back faster, stronger, could jump higher than I could before I tore my ACL.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It was amazing.
So you're able to play that next season?
Yeah.
Did you get back on?
Yeah. I came back the next season. The first game of the year, I didn't start. The guy who started the year I was out, he did. I think he fumbled at some point in time, and they put me in, and I never came back out.
I love it.
So, yeah, I came back. Now, when I did come back, they had changed the whole offense. They went to spread like the rest of the country was doing back at that time. I graduated high school in 2005. This was around 2010 that season. So everybody was doing spread offense, and before that. We were pro style. I was getting the ball, about 30 times a game, downhill, had a fullback, the whole 9 yards. So it was a transition, but yeah, I was, athletic and I could play the game. So he gave me opportunity. I never got off the field.
Well, tearing your ACL, I want to walk back a little bit because I think so often some of our most favorite players right now, Patrick Mahomes is an example. When people tear their ACL, I mean, it used to be an injury that could potentially be career-ending for some players. Mm-hmm. What is that rehab process like? Is there anything that was unique about yours that was able to make you come back in the very next year and be able to compete at a high level like that?
Yeah, no, it can be a devastating injury if you don't do proper rehab, and that's the biggest takeaway that I took from it, and that I give to athletes I work with now that get injured is you got to take the rehab serious. You got to push to the limit. So if the doctor tells you, hey, this is what you can do, now don't go too far, right? Don't pass that boundary, but you got to push that boundary, and it's uncomfortable. That's the one thing I learned, and I'll give a shout out to Athletic Republic. They have a ACL rehab program that they do, and I mean it's fairly simple stuff, but it really just forces you to do plyometrics from day one. It's like single leg hops. Now they're small line hops, but in your mind, like, jumping and moving on one leg at any point is scary. It's all out.
I can only imagine, dude.
So yeah, it was again transformative because I came back a better athlete than I left before I tore my ACL. So that told me a lot just about, training in itself and the intent you put behind it.
When players like tear their ACL a second time, and a lot of times it's the other knee because they've been favoring the other one for so long. Or if it is the same knee, how does that happen? Or is that just a fluke? Or is it something to do with the training or the rehab, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be a little combination of it all. I mean, or one of the other things, like you said. Sometimes it's just a fluke thing, especially when it's the opposite knee. Like, I've had a lot of injuries. I recently just tore my Achilles, about 3 years ago. And the doctor,
buddy.
That's the game. That's the one that'll put you out the game for sure. But the doctor said, hey, your Achilles, your new Achilles, you got nothing to worry about. It's where is your other Achilles at? How much wear and tear has it had? That's the one you might need to be worried about. So it could be one of those situations when it comes to the ligaments is, hey, you've had so much wear and tear on both of them. You pop one, the other one was just waiting to go. Your new one's strong as an ox. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's wild. It's
tell me, was the Achilles tear like because you hear stories about it where guys hear it, and it's super loud and it's super uncomfortable. But I also talked to a guy recently who had an Achilles tear, and he was like, it just felt like burning, and I didn't hear it.
Yeah, no.
So was it a full Achilles tear?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Were you jumping when it happened?
Thing.
Or pushing a sled or something?
I was jumping over little hurdles into a sprint. So it was the last hurdle. I had about 3 or 4 hurdles lined up. I was doing these little, basically single leg hops, and then I pushed off the sprint, and I just fell on my face.
Really?
It was a huge pop, like a giant band just going all pop.
Yeah.
And the gym was packed at the time. Everybody started looking around, see me on the ground. One of my buddies ran up to me. He thought that I like ripped up the turf because he heard the loud noise. In my mind, I'm laying on the ground, and I say to myself, what was that? I'm like, I heard the noise. Maybe I stepped on the hurdle and cracked the hurdle, and that's how I fell. But I'm like, I'm coordinated. I ain't that clumsy.
Right.
It was literally going to be like my last one.
Yeah.
I've been training for the past hour. And I'll tell you my situation, but I fell on my face. I looked back, and the hurdle was still standing there. And just with all the years of training, I knew what it was. My wife ran up to me, and I'm like, I'm cool. I got up. I gingerly kind of put some weight on that foot, and it was just hanging. And no pressure at all. So I hopped over to the side and just sat there and, waited to go to the doctor.
Man, I had a coach in junior college that he tore an Achilles while he was running. And, man, I've never heard a grown man scream the way that he did. Yeah. So his was painful.
Really?
But, yeah.
Yeah. And then most guys I talk to is no pain. Like mine wasn't any pain. It was fast, quick, and over. It was just loud and fell on my face. Falling hurt. It wasn't Achilles.
If you could go back in time and give yourself, like, as what you do for a profession, if you could go back in time and be like, man, I wish I would have done this to prevent that from happening, what would you wish you could go back in time and tell yourself? Oh, yeah. Or is there any way of like avoiding it, I guess would be another way of asking.
So what I believe happened with me, I think was avoidable. Now, as we age, men over 35 are very more prone to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just something you could do, especially if you become inactive. So in my situation, I wasn't necessarily inactive, but I started bodybuilding career.
Right.
So
less jumping.
Yeah, exactly. No, other than showing my clients that I had at the time how to do this or that, I wasn't training like an athlete.
Right.
I was training like a bodybuilder. So like I said, I was big, I was stiff, I was strong. And I was so strong that my Achilles wasn't used to handling that much pressure, that much force that I was putting out. So my ego had me doing exercises and working out like I was still in college playing football, but I wasn't, right? And I was bigger. I weighed a lot more. I was a lot stronger, a lot more powerful. And I believe that's why I tore my Achilles. Right. Because it was literally the first workout that I had like that since I started taking bodybuilding seriously. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to hurt myself. I was playing flag football. After football, I was playing flag football and still doing active stuff that I enjoyed. But, when I found bodybuilding, I was like, you know what, I'm going to really take this serious. I stopped doing that because I didn't want to get hurt doing that to mess up the bodybuilding career. But it was literally the first workout I did coming back saying, you know what, I'm going to get back into flag football, man. I kind of miss it. I want to feel good again, move good again. And, yeah, man, it went.
Right. I think previous athletes, I went through a bodybuilding, stint after I got done playing football as well. And you kind of get into this thing where it's like you want to get strong, you want to get big, that's a new endeavor. But I think as a previous athlete, you kind of always come back to but I want to be able to, I still want to be able to mix it up, as far as, play sports if I want to, and things like that.
Yeah. Sheesh, dude.
I was just about to say, you're pretty jacked. How good are you at bodybuilding? Pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, man. I had a lot of potential. So,
would you stop? You're not doing it anymore?
No, I'm not doing it anymore. I think 2 years ago, 2 Novembers ago, maybe was my last.
You look
show.
like Kevin Levrone there.
I had a lot of potential, man. That was my first national competition. I placed 11th out of 40 guys. That was the biggest. That's NPC Nationals, the biggest amateur show in the U.S. And I placed 11th. So it told me I had the opportunity to go pro and really do it if I took it serious. But after that show is when I decided I was going to take a little time off and just get my body back together, health wise, this and that, and in the midst of me taking that little time is when I tore the
ACL.
Yeah.
Oh, the ACL.
The Achilles.
Achilles. Okay.
Yep.
That was like the ACL was in college.
Yep.
Yeah, that sucks, man. Talk about the recovery for that real quick.
The Achilles, like what was more difficult, the Achilles or the ACL?
Oh, the Achilles, hands down.
Right.
Hands down.
You're also older, so everything is more rough as far as recovery goes.
For sure. There's no question about that. But I think there's no way you can ever bounce back and be 100%. Like again, the ACL came back and I literally was a better athlete.
Mm-hmm.
The Achilles, you'll never have the same push. You can never get the same force out of that particular leg that you tear. And it's excruciating. It does suck. It hurts like no other. You feel that one with the rehab, the surgery, the rehab. Both of them were not good. But just being in a boot for extensive periods of time, I got plantar in
fasciitis.
My feet. Yep. I got so that's another thing. Like after I got out the boot, I wasn't walking properly, favoring one side. It was a nightmare for a while, man. The first year really was terrible, and it's still. I mean, I still feel it. It doesn't hurt, but it's just it's just like one of those things where my feet don't feel
even.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a different question, but when you did bodybuilding, especially when you get to such a high level relatively quickly in that career, that being NPC, everybody in there is usually enhanced athletes in some regard. You got, some youth athletes that I'm sure have been training with you for a while and watched you grow and grow awesome.
Yeah.
Was there any, hard conversations that you have to have with youth athletes to be like, hey, you got to be patient? They want to jump into stuff like that. Is there anything you've had to make clear to some young men along the way?
Yeah, I've had to have some conversations with some young men and even more some adults. For me, it was a business decision. It wasn't ego. I wasn't trying to be the biggest guy in the room. I honestly didn't care to really look like a bodybuilder. I'm a competitor. I love competing. I started bodybuilding, I competed natural for about 3 years in the
ANBF.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And in that one, I grew really fast. I turned pro right away. I started winning money, but it's little paychecks. And I'm so competitive that I'm like, well, I'm already a pro in this. Like, what can I do if I get on a big boy stage? So for me, again, at that time, just starting at Active Strength, I'm like, if I get into this bodybuilding thing, I can build
track
up that
more
client.
business.
Yeah, track more building
Right.
business. And, my image is everything. And when I step out, people, what do you do? Where you at? So it's a calling card. So that's what made me really dive into bodybuilding. And I made a business decision against, honestly, a lot of people. My wife didn't really want me to do it and some others, but I really felt like I could go all the way. I can do this. I can make a name for myself. And I was doing just that before I got hurt. But even so, I do think that it helped me grow my business and get the notoriety that I needed to keep it flowing. And, so I don't regret it at all. But it was a tough decision. But, like, going back to your question, I tell a lot of guys that hey, like, don't do this, like, for any vain reason. Don't take enhancements if you just want to look good in the mirror or impress a chick. Like, there's consequences to it. There's things that if you don't do them right, you're going to have to deal with your entire life. Mm-hmm. It's not a game at all.
Have you been on social media recently? Because you're going up against a hard push in the other direction currently with the young generation on social media. Yeah, it seems like everywhere I turn on social media.
Well, it's one thing to take them; it's another thing to glorify them.
Right.
I feel like there's just been a lot of like careless glorification of it.
For sure, no, absolutely. Another reason I didn't get back into it and go heavy into it after I got hurt was at the time it was so many guys dropping dead, like on a big
that's true
stage, like
that's true
with big names, and I'm
Sean
like
Roden, then
exactly,
Dallas McCarver,
yeah.
Trying to think who else, but there was like three. I mean, John Meadows.
Yep.
There was a lot that was happening.
That was all around that period right there that I was coming back from recovery.
Right.
And I'm like, these guys with big names and big money, if they can't stay healthy and take care of themselves, then well, a little guy like me,
right.
It's luck of the draw.
Right.
And at that point, I looked at my business, I looked at where I was at, and I was like, I don't need to continue to do this to grow my name or make good money for myself. So that's when I really kind of like settled
Step
down.
back.
Yeah, I've done one show since, like I said, 2 Novembers ago. I was bored and
come back from the Achilles.
Wanted to see if I could do it, and it was cool. I took second overall, first in my age group, and it was cool, but. Like I said, it's nothing to play with at all.
Right. Yeah, it also gives you perspective, It gives you perspective to be able to talk to these young athletes in the way that you just said, and I think that's important. A lot of people don't have a a figure that they can go to and talk to about those things. That's not like, somebody who has an angle,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I can't hold my head high. Like I said, I was a pro on the natural level. I thought I looked good on the natural level, so it wasn't a vain thing, and that's what I really just try to get through to guys. Like, if you're not going to be an NPC bodybuilder, like if you want to be on that stage, and then unfortunately it's one of those things the guys just you're not going to win if you're not doing it. I'm sorry, that's the way of the world. But other than that, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, to be honest with you.
You rather strap a helmet on one more time or do one more bodybuilding show?
I'd rather do one more body show right now.
Well, no, like ever. I mean,
ever?
Take away the like. I'm not saying right now because God, that could be.
Yeah.
I always think about if I played a football game now, I'd hit somebody as hard as I could and just be like, all right, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, bro. I would fall apart on the football field. I remember it probably up until about the time I tore my Achilles. I still thought, I could still get on the field.
Right.
If I wanted to, I could still suit up.
It was like 35 that I hit that point. Like, oh no, I couldn't. Yeah. I just could not now.
Can't. Yeah. But no, there's nothing like playing football in my opinion. I just say that with the team camaraderie and then the individual accolades and the things you can do. Like I love the game of football.
Right.
Love it.
Right. Is that something that you talk to your athletes about? Because it's like when I look back at the career of playing sports, I always am. When you're in it, you don't appreciate it in the same way as looking back on it, And I think that having somebody to be like enjoy this time. This you probably have a lot of kids that come in and they're just like, oh, I don't want to do this exercise, I want to do that, and blah blah blah, and be like, dude, one day you're gonna have to go to work. You're not going to do any of this stuff. So
and most people also don't even know when their last game's going to be,
right?
Because they in their mind are thinking, I'm going to go on to the next level somewhere. And they don't even realize like they weren't even appreciating that was their final game.
Yeah, no, 100%. I got 4 kids of my own that I have to preach to and talk to all the time. But besides all the athletes that walk in our door, and that's one of the biggest things that I had to learn as an athlete was to enjoy the moment and enjoy what you're doing. And I'll never forget it was after one of our games, we won. I scored about 2 touchdowns, but I fumbled late in the game. And I rarely ever do that. I probably had 5 maybe my whole, career that I can think about. But it just stuck with me, right? She came up to me after the game as one of the coach's wife. Little lady, probably, maybe 5 foot at that. Skinny little lady came up to me like, hey, Jesse, good job, man. I'm like, it was okay, but thank you. I appreciate it. She was like, no, like, really, you played a really good game. Like, good job. And I was like, it could have been better. This little lady grabbed me by my neck. I still had my pads and everything on, pulled me up close to her and said, you need to learn how to take a compliment and enjoy the effing, game and enjoy the moment. And that just stuck with me because I'm like, you're right. You know what I mean? We won. I had a good game. I made one mistake. Like, I beat myself up.
You weren't perfect, right?
Yeah, but I've always been like that. I'm always like, what's next? Like, what mistake did I make? How can I get better? Like, instead of just, we won. Right. Enjoy it. Be in the moment. Celebrate with your teammates. Everybody else is having a good time, eating food afterwards, and I'm over here, stooping in my tears because we fumbled.
It is a delicate balance because, as a football player, you're always breaking down the film. Doesn't matter if you won or lost. You had bad plays, and you're gonna, the coaches are gonna harp on those bad plays. Yeah. So it's very easy to get into the mindset that you're talking about. And I think, the highest competitors are always going to be in that mindset. But you gotta be able to step back and kind of appreciate the moment every now and then.
Yeah. No, I think it's certainly one of those things that make you good at what you do. Right. If you're always constantly critiquing yourself, you're harder on yourself than other people are. But at the same time, it makes it really hard to enjoy the moment, enjoy the thing. So I just have to constantly remind myself of that.
Right.
Jesse, when it comes to coaching, right, you coach youth athletes, you train youth athletes, but then they have their own kind of like sports-specific coaches as well. Mm-hmm. How much do you have to get to know those coaches and their coaching styles? How much does that matter when it comes to doing your sports performance and working in unison with those coaches, or does it ever become combative?
I wouldn't say it comes combative too often. You have to break some bad habits here and there. I do enjoy when a coach reaches out to me and tells me, hey, this athlete, this is what I noticed on the court, this is what I noticed on the field. Can you work on them with this? Can you do this and that? So it's always helpful when you have that insight. But
is that the norm or is that the exception?
It was the exception, for sure, the exception. And again, your serious athletes, the parents that are really taking it serious, that's when you get, usually you'll get more input from the parent, from a coach, the outsider. But generally, the general population, they just, come in, they want their kids to play, get off the bench. They want them to, start performing. So a lot of times it's us building kids up from scratch. We deal with a lot of elementary and middle school kids that frankly just aren't coordinated, right? Haven't played a lot of sports. So for us, we love it. We want to build them up. We want to make them the athlete they can be. So I get more of that than I do dealing with, skills coaches and dealing with parents that want to tell me how to, coach and train this and that. Usually that comes from the family that thinks their kid is an All-American and really isn't.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
Yeah.
Is there more of those parents happening now than ever before? It feels like it.
Yeah, man, there definitely is.
Right.
It's a lot of them out there, but again, we're gonna take them all. We're gonna make the best out of it.
You got 4 kids. You say 4 boys?
No, 2 boys, 2 girls.
2 boys, 2 girls. What sports do your kids play? As a sports performance coach, this is an interesting topic to me. You obviously have opinions that go beyond, the average person who's putting their kids in sports. What sports do you feel like you want your kids to focus on? Or is it just whatever they want to play?
Yeah, no, I wanted my kids to just find something, to be honest with you. Whatever they love doing, like I was behind it, I'm going to be behind it. Now, of course, I love football. That's my passion. But I love team sports. There's no question about it. But I've learned there's a couple of things. Well, I'll go back to what I don't really care for, and there's no shade behind it, no thing. So both of my oldest daughter, she's 19 now, she did cheer for years, right? And those cheerleaders are in the gym, competition gym, every night, couple hours a night. Then on the weekends, you're traveling, you're doing something there on the stage for like maybe a solid minute. You as a parent are there all day long watching it. They learn how to tumble. They learn how to flip. They learn how to hold somebody up. And that's cool. If that's your thing, that's totally cool. But what I learned from being a sports performance coach and just from having a kid who just did sports-specific things like that over and over again, it didn't make her a better athlete.
More well-rounded.
More well-rounded, correct. So when she decided to quit, I made the mistake of not forcing her into another sport right away. And then when she finally found one, which was years later, she was behind the 8 ball. Mm-hmm. So, she was just behind the 8 ball. So we worked hard, and she did really well. She actually ended up getting a scholarship offer. She played 2 years lacrosse. And I learned from that mistake, one, to not let my kids sit. Like, if you want to quit a sport, that's fine, but we're going to find another one where we're going to try something else out, right? But 2, unlike my boys who I made go to the gym with me because I knew they needed it as football players, I should have done that with my girls too. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that with her. So, again, that well-roundedness, she didn't have it. That work ethic, she didn't really have.
Right.
They're not pushing, at least the studio she was at. It wasn't – she didn't know how to overcome the hard times, the hard training, the run. She hated coming into the gym with us when I finally was like, hey, all right, now you like lacrosse. You got to train like a lacrosse player. You got to be in here doing extra stuff if you want to be good. And she didn't know how to really deal with that at the time. Now, she figured it out, and, again, she got actually pretty good in the 2 years she played, but I wish we would have started that earlier.
Right.
So I learned from that mistake.
Which cheerleading is, it's something that I know nothing about, something that most men don't know a whole lot about. So you're kind of just deferring to the experts, the coaches of the cheerleading. And it's kind of like, all right, if you like doing it, we'll see how it goes.
Exactly, man. And she was moving up, I don't know if that was a money tactic or if she was, that good and advancing, but they were always moving her up and putting her on this team and competition this. And I'm paying, $3,000 a month to, It was ridiculous. So when she said she wanted to quit, I'm like, yeah, sure. Say less. You know what I mean?
Sure. Get my weekends back.
Yeah, right. But I made the mistake of not putting her in something else, but 2, during that time, having her train outside of that.
Right.
And I learned that. So my youngest daughter, when she did gymnastics, and she was at Gage, which, you know, was known to be one of the best gymnastics facilities in the nation at the time, and she was advancing again. They were always taking my money. Like, I got to take her up to the next level. And during COVID, she lost the passion for it. It kind of slowed down. She said she wanted it out, and I'm like, hey, we gotta do something.
Right.
Like, you know, and we have a track team. We have a youth track team that we run as well. She ran, but she didn't take it serious. She was never training for it. It was just like, when it's track season, I'm gonna come out, do my thing, and go home.
More of an activity or a hobby.
Exactly. But her brothers were always winning medals, going to nationals, this and that. So first 2 years of it, she was like, man, like, I'm tired of this, Dad. Like, I never get to go to nationals. The boys are always bringing medals home. I mean, the car rides after the meets were uncomfortable because you could tell she wanted to cry while they wanted to cheer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hey, baby girl, you got to train like the boys. You got to go to the gym. You got to work out year round. You got to be prepared. When track season comes, you need to be in shape. Your problem is you get to track season, you don't get in shape until the end of it, right? The other girls already got a step on you. And she's made that commitment the last 4 years, and she's number 5 in the state right now as a freshman.
Sick. Congrats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, man, she learned that.
What's her race?
Yeah, what's the event?
The 200. She runs the 1 and the 2 in high school. She runs the 4 in our AAU comp. But right now they got her running 1 and 2 as a freshman. She's number 5 in the state right now. So
cool, man.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah.
What's we're talking about coaching. I'm sure you don't make it to where you made it as an athlete without some good coaches along the way. Mm-hmm. Can you think of a piece of advice that maybe you were given as a youth athlete that you now pass along to your youth athletes?
It's just, I think just that hard work ethic. I can't really stick to a solid, quote or saying that I got, but one of the very first coaches I had played in the NFL, played for the Patriots. Torrey Logan was his name. Great guy. I think he was from Arkansas. He used to always call us, Hoss. Hey, Hoss. Just, country guy. But he, even as youth, Pop Warner kids in 5th, 6th grade, he was on us. He was pushing us. And I learned that things aren't going to be given to you, right? Just because you want to play running back doesn't mean you're going to. I played on a line my first 4 or 5 years. I was, a little chubbier kid, and I was, the only child. My parents did, like I told you guys earlier when we were talking, my parents didn't play sports, so I sat in the house most of the time. I played with cars and watched cartoons. My dad put me in football because he liked the Chiefs. That was, his thing. He thought I was going to be a linebacker. You play linebacker. So they put me on the line, and I hated it. I wanted nothing to do with it.
They wanted you to be Derek Thomas.
Yeah.
During that era.
Yeah. But, I wanted to play running back, and my coach was just, you got to prove it to me. You got to show it to me. And I took a summer to actually work on the craft and get better and get in shape and this and that. And I came back the next year and told him, hey, man, I'm ready. Give me opportunity. And he gave me opportunity. And I didn't start that first year that he gave it to me, but I got better. He gave me opportunity. I played a little bit, and then it lights out after that. Once I, learned like, okay, little work ethic will go a long way. I truly believe, that the hard worker can get way further than the talented guy. If the guy with talent doesn't bring the hard work. So
how do you instill hard work in a kid? Is it forced? Is it like a, it's just a learned trait where it's like you just make them show up over and over again and they basically adopt it? Or
I think that's it, man. So I think the real key, and it was for me, and I see it again in my daughters, my own kids, and the kids we train is, and I can really speak for my own kids because, of course, they come to me with the frustrations. I can see when they don't want to train. I can see when they don't want to do things. Once they see a little glimpse of success, you got them, right? So it's just
they got to see progress.
They got to see progress. They got to see some progress. So it's sticking with it long enough to see that progress, and that's really on the parents. Yeah. Like I have so many kids who just come in our facility for a month and leave, and then come back maybe in another 6 months, stay for another month and leave. Like it's just like anything, building muscle, losing weight. 1 month of it is not going to get you anywhere, right? That's just a start. That's,
What kind of built-in, protocols do you have to show them that progress?
So, we do a lot of testing. One, we have what we call shred meal. I think it's the only one, I wouldn't say in the Midwest, but only one definitely in Kansas City area, where we can do certain type of runs, acceleration runs, top end runs, and it'll spit out miles per hour for the kids. So we use that as a staple. We have basically.
Is this on a treadmill type device?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's on the treadmill. And what we do is basically we'll do a couple tests with that. Basically, when you come in, when you start. And then, if you ever want to, leave, hopefully you don't. But when you're ready to go back to your season or whatever it is, we test them out again. And they're constantly pushing. So we have what we call the speed club. We have signs up on our wall. So when a kid hits a certain miles an hour, our older kids, we have for the young ladies, they got to reach 17 miles an hour to start. And then for the fellas, it's 20 miles an hour. So for our older kids, that's a big incentive for them. They love trying to push and get to that level. So we love doing that, but we have laser timing. We do, short flying tens, and we test pro agility, broad jump, things like that. So the kids can actually see their progress. The parents can see their progress.
That's cool.
That's my youngest daughter there.
So is that your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked fast.
Yeah, she can move, man. So we do a lot of different.
That looks like it would tear my Achilles.
Oh, man. It's pretty cool. So it has what they call eddy current magnetic deal at the bottom of it, so we can change the resistance. So imagine running with the sled, pushing the sled.
Right.
You're doing that. So it's got a setting from 0 to 10. We can make that resistance, and it's pretty cool.
Are you guys measuring like hamstring to quad strength? Because I know that used to be a big indicator of like propensity for injury.
Mm-hmm. Injury. Yeah, we don't measure that, but we do put a huge emphasis on hamstring health. We do a lot of Nordics and RDLs, deadlift. We put a lot of emphasis on having strong, powerful hamstrings.
Cool, man.
On the side of consistency, hard work, the work ethic you talked about, what you try to instill in all the athletes, how is that correlated? And I guess to be more specific, once you started the business and grew it to where it is today, obviously it took a lot of hard work to do that. But what isn't obvious, I would ask, is just what surprised you along the way on just how it's different from just working hard in the gym. How has building a business been difficult?
Oh man, it's had so many challenges, but I think it all correlates. It's the same work ethic you have on the field, like you bring that into business, which is a blessing for me. I was able to learn that lesson at a young age during sports, that hard work will get you far, and I just take that into the business world. Now, I think the mental.
Was there a time when effort didn't equal execution?
Yeah, for sure. I think the mental aspect of it is a lot harder for me. Right. In football, I was very confident. I knew what I needed to do. I knew my assignments. I knew the plays. I just give me the ball and I'm going to go do my thing. Right. It was instinctual. In business, learning, if you don't know how to market, learning how to market, if you don't know the industry, because nobody taught me how to run a gym. I never ran a gym before. I had a team of people. I knew how to sell. I knew sports, but I never ran a gym before. I owned my first one. So even what the season's going to look like, right? When people start leaving during the winter because the holidays, they don't want to spend money and, everybody's going on vacation. In my mind, I'm like, where did everybody go? Are we failing? Are the doors about to close? Like, right. But at the end of the day, it's just, that's the season. Seasonality. People are going to go. When, in youth sports, spring is always slow. You got so many sports you got to deal with. We do it a lot of baseball players, soccer players, track runners. Football kids are doing spring football. So our class is going to drop. Like, the numbers are going to go down, right? It's just obviously our job is to try to keep them as high as they can be, but they're going to go down from the wintertime. And if you're not prepared for that mentally, if you don't know, then you could have this,
panic.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. That sets off. And I had that in the beginning, the first couple of years, imposter syndrome. They say 80% of entrepreneurs go through it at some point in time, right? Are you really built for this? Are you made for this? Did you just get lucky? So dealing, I think, on the mental aspect of business was a lot harder for me than it was in sports.
What advice would you give, either your younger self or another, young entrepreneur who, had a background in fitness, has a background in training, background in athletics, and they're just thinking, I'd love to start a gym or some kind of a training studio at some point. What kind of advice would you give them?
Get a mentor, hire a coach. I've spent so much money on coaching. I at least $80,000 or $100,000 in coaching over the 8 years of me owning this business, and I think all of it is worth it. You'll get some bad coaches, unfortunately. You get some people who don't know everything, but if you can take 1 or 2 gems that help you, at least make your money back from that, it's a win. So yeah, definitely if you're just getting started, I wouldn't suggest doing like I did and just jumping in the fire. Try to find you a mentor, find you a business coach to hire that can show you the ropes and give you the do's and don'ts so you can be prepared so you don't have those mental meltdowns that I had my first couple of years doing this.
That's great.
Right.
Man.
That's good advice, man.
Have you gotten any bad advice you want to share that you wouldn't have taken?
Or something you learned that, might help somebody out.
Yeah. When you failed forward, if you will.
No, for sure. Be mindful of who you go into business with. I've been doing business for a long time. I have, a couple different businesses. And while you look at some people's credentials, or you make assumptions because they have a certain job or work somewhere, but you really don't know them. You don't know what kind of personality they have. You don't really know what kind of work ethic they have. Going into business just with somebody because they have a good idea or you think they're a cool person, it can bite you in the butt. So I definitely would say that's my biggest thing is be mindful of who you go into business with. Do your homework on them. Make sure that they have a value to bring to the table because that's where it gets sticky. If they don't bring something to the table that you don't currently have yourself or you do yourself, you're going to always say to yourself, why do I need them? Like, what was the point? You know? So I think it always has to be mutual. You have to bring something to the table, and they have to bring something to the table that either of you really don't do yourself. I think that's a good partnership.
Outside of results, Jesse, what else do you think people gravitate to Active for?
Community. We have good coaches, great personalities, and people in our gym are just cool, down to earth. It is truly like its own little community. We know everybody by name. My wife, my kids are always around. It's a family-owned business, so they, everybody knows my kids. They know my wife. They know my family. It's just a culture. Like we're just a chill, laid-back gym. We're about putting our work in and just having a good time.
Are the trainers 1099? Are they on staff?
I have 2 on staff, and the rest of them are 1099.
Cool. You guys have a special deal for people that are getting started. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do free trials. Anybody who wants to come in and check us out, we would love for you to come in and anytime try out one of our classes to see if it's a good fit for you. We want to make sure that you enjoy it, that you love it, that you're a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for you. So anytime, you can go to our website or give us a call, and we'll get you booked in for a free trial session.
This is for adults, for kids, all the above?
All the above. So our kids classes are in the afternoons. We do a 3:30 for high school and up, our advanced class. 5:30 p.m. is middle school, and it's a high school mixture. So for any high school kids that can't make that early 3:30, we'll have a few of them fall in there. And then 6:30 Monday through Thursday is when we do our youth, so 10 and under. We do those classes. So anytime there. And then adults, we have a 5 a.m., a 6 a.m., a 8 a.m., and a 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Yeah. So, and on the weekends, we do 2 classes, a boot camp style high rocks class at 7, and we do what we call booty blast class at 8. So ladies only on that one.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
I know, right? I was getting excited.
I knew you were wanting to do a booty blast.
Trying, dude.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. Glutes, core, lower body strength class for the ladies. Ladies really enjoy that one.
Nice. Cool, man. When somebody, to kind of keep playing off this, so when somebody comes in to, try this out for the first time, what can they expect? If you're a young athlete, what is exactly they're going to get out of the first free trial?
Yeah, so with one of our group classes, you're going to experience what the day in the life is like. Every day we have the same structure, it's just a different focus, so to speak. So when you come in, there's going to be a dynamic stretch and warm up along with some footwork. The first 15 minutes, we really kind of spend on that. And then we're going to break you into stations. We do 3 stations. So one is going to be strength focused. And again, depending on the day, it could be a lower body, upper body work. And then there's always some ancillary. So there'll be one complex lift, say like a deadlift. And then the lower body ancillary might be explosive push-ups or something of that nature, right? And then vice versa on the other day, right? Like bench press or push-up or pull-ups might be your heavy complex movement, compound movement, and then an ancillary would be the lower body movement. So there's always going to be a strength deal there and some mobility. And then the next station would be your plyometrics. So we always are jumping. You got to be explosive. You got to be springy and bouncy. I've never met somebody who can jump out the gym that was slow. Right? Mm-hmm. So we're always doing that on different levels. So it could be line hops, quick, springy line hops. It could be bounding that we're focusing on. It could be box jumps. It could be depth drops. So some type of explosive jumping movement that we do. And then our last station is going to be our speed station. So again, depending on the day, the focus might be agility. It might be on our speed treadmill. If the weather's nice, sometimes we do things outside. So again, there's going to be some kind of speed work that we're doing, whether we're working acceleration, top end speed, or agility.
Perfect, man. Perfect.
With the popularity of high rocks and the popularity of running, has that translated into your guys' track club as well?
No, I wouldn't say so. The track club thing is one that we gotta. It's youth, it's really young youth kids that we have. Now, I guess you could say your high rocks parents are more prone to sending their kids to us for track, right? The ones that come into the gym and they want to sign up for high rocks versus the ones that are there for weight loss or just doing their own thing. I think they understand the importance of running and staying in shape and being fit because, they're doing that high rocks thing, that we get a lot more kids in that area from them, if you want to, correlate it that way. But, no, our youth track club, man, is really taking off and great. We got about 60 kids right now signed up for our club. We have our first meet on the 25th, and it's something we've been doing. This is our 7th year doing that. So we just got our non-for-profit started up for that, so we'll start to hopefully raise some money and be able to get more kids involved with it.
When you talk about training athletes, so much you talked about is a lot of plyometrics, mobility work. But when is it safe to start having your kids lift weights, in your opinion?
That's a great question. I get that one all the time. So science tells us there's nothing wrong with lifting. As a youth athlete, there's nothing wrong with it unless you're doing it incorrectly, and that goes for any age, right? Mm-hmm. You blow your back out at any age if you're doing it wrong. You can mess your knees up at any age. Now, you can crack a growth plate or something like that if you're doing incorrect lifting, which of course will stunt your growth, what parents are usually worried about. But if you're lifting appropriately, it's okay. So with our little ones, for example, anybody in our 10 and under class, they're never going to see a barbell, right? But they are going to lift maybe with some med balls. You might have a 5-pound, a 10-pound med ball. We might have you doing squats, right? Or overhead, lunges. You might have a small 5-pound, 9-pound kettlebell that we have you do work with. But as long as we know you're doing it appropriately and it's appropriate weight, there's nothing that you can find scientifically that says lifting weights is wrong for you. If you want to, err on the side of caution, then wait till they mature. Wait till they hit puberty, 13, 14 years old, and you should be really good to go then. But still at that, boys, their growth plates, start to stop, around 15, 16. So close up, girls a little bit, sooner. So who really knows? But again, I go off of what science tells us, and that tells us that it's perfectly fine to lift at any age as long as you're doing it appropriately. So we just try to meet the kid where they are.
With the advent of social media, we didn't grow up with any of that while we were going through high school. How much are you having to kind of combat that as far as mental struggles with these youth athletes that I think that none of us really had to deal with on the same level?
It is a tough one, man, and it's something that we got to talk about. I can see myself and my coaches kind of preaching that to a lot of our athletes, especially the older ones, them scrolling through their phones. And again, I can speak on it more so because I have kids, and I know what my kids go through. Even my really talented one, again, my daughter's 5th in the state right now, but she'll open up her phone and see an 8th grader in Texas or California that just ran 22 second 200, which is beating her by 3 seconds. She's, what am I doing? Like, I might as well quit now. Like, no, like, there's going to be some really special kids in this world. That's cool. And then there's going to be really, really fast kids like you that just work hard, and you eventually will get to the same point. She got there before you, but when you guys are both 25, if you keep working and you're strong and you're hard, she's going to peak, and you are too. And I guarantee, you probably be on the same level. You might get past her if you keep the same work ethic.
Run your own race, if you will, right?
Exactly. So we constantly are reminding the kids of that.
With you've been doing this for a minute. What kind of child transformation really sticks out to you on somebody that maybe had some of that self-doubt, but they outworked it and brought a lot of confidence and some crazy performance in the end?
Oh man. So I will say there's a kid, Brady. Oh my God. If you could, he should be on my one of my, at least my Actively Speeding, if not that Active Strength page somewhere. But anyway, sorry, he plays for Sporting Youth Academy. So by no means has he ever been a slouch. His family moved here from Boston to actually pursue being with Sporting Academy. And the kid, when he came in and he first started training with this, I mean, it's, again, not that he really doubted himself too much, right? He knew he was good, but he didn't know just how good.
This is Sporting KC, like Sporting Soccer Academy.
Yeah. He's with the Youth Academy, and he's made a lot of stride, a lot of progress. He's blowing up, doing a tremendous job. I'm so excited for him. Got an opportunity to go out and try out for USA's 16U team just last month, and it sounds like that went really well. So, I mean, he's on his way. I'm super proud of him. But just to see when he first came in, when he first moved here, looking for a gym to train at, this and that, you can see kind of he wasn't as confident in himself as he should have been. Even us trainers kind of see man, this kid's be special, but he didn't see it. He didn't really have it. And just seeing his growth, his work ethic, him showing up every day, doing the things right. Not only does he come to us for sports performance training, but now, I mean, he trains with his own skill coaches, and he's got practice with Sporting a few times a week. So, I mean, soccer is a full-time job for him. He's goalie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the man works like a dog. But to now finally see him getting the accolades that he deserves, and to see him growing into himself and build that confidence, I mean, those are the stories that we're always looking and hoping to get.
Never a better reward than when you're coaching like that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever it comes to successful athletes outside of just work ethic, what's another character trait that you think is just a non-negotiable if they're going to be successful?
To be successful, I think when it comes to business or sports?
The athletics in this case.
Athletics? Oh, taking care of your body. Taking care of your body. I think that's one thing that's always going to be hard for us to get through to kids. I mean, to anybody, but certainly kids. If you can learn to do the mobility work, right, to eat the food, to get the rest, you're going to recover better. You're going to be dependable, right? You're going to be there to get in the game, to have the plays. When you're hurt, you can't do that. And I see a lot of kids that do overtraining. And I even had to have that same conversation with my own kids, especially when you get talented kids who want to play every sport and every coach wants them on their team. You'll have multiple teams, spring doing flag football, doing 7-on-7 football, doing track, working out in the gym, right? These are all things that I see from a lot of our really talented kids. And at some point, it's going to burn them. It's going to burn them, and it's going to wear them out, and they're going to get hurt, whether it's a hip, whether it's a knee, an ankle. You see it all the time. So I try to talk to parents and the kids about slowing down, right? And it's not that you got to pick a sport and you just got to be a one-sport athlete. It's just, maybe having seasons for stuff, or understanding that you got to, you pour into maybe one sport and the other sport gets a little bit of your time. When you have a free weekend, you're a filling guy, you're this and that. But I just see it a lot now with sports. You got kids doing so many things and now still trying to train, and they just end up getting injured and hurt.
Yeah, it's easy to get burnt out on a sport when you have when you feel like you have no downtime as a kid, Yeah. That happened to me when I was younger, and I was in wrestling, and it was like every weekend was wrestling, and it was like I was wrestling in the summer, and it was just eventually I got to a sophomore in high school, and I was like, dude, I'm not doing this anymore. This sucks.
Yeah. I see it far too often nowadays.
Right.
Have you had any of your athletes that you've coached move on and play professionally anywhere? Are we still waiting for the first, or we got one?
I'm still. So I've had professional athletes already. I haven't had an athlete that I've trained from the bottom to get pro yet. I got a couple really close. I'm give me a couple more years, and I'm sure I'll be there. So again, I've been doing the sports performance training thing for a long time, like 15 years again. But I first started off in St. Joe, like I mentioned, Athletic Republic, doing that thing. Went through a transition where my wife got pregnant with our twins, and I'm like, there's no way I can, support a family and keep a big boy job doing this. I got to get a big boy job. So started working for Enterprise, rent a car, did that for like 8 years, climbing the corporate ladder. I trained kids along the way on the side, but I didn't have, my roster wasn't huge. So it wasn't really till the last, 8 years when I started the company back up. I started training the kids, but then the focus was so much on the adults when I took this business over. So it was called Bodies, Health, and Fitness when I first started. It was basically just a boutique fitness studio with adults, and I was paying the overhead at the time. So my focus then shifted to, okay, how do I support this? How do I keep this going? How do you market for adults? How do you do these weight loss challenges? How do you do all that? So I learned that for my first 4 or 5 years and didn't really have the help to support the sports performance because I was a sports performance guy, right? Everybody else in the gym, all the other trainers, all they knew how to do was do weight loss and, your regular PT stuff. So it really died down. In the last 2-3 years, I built the team and we've been back on it and really building it up. But some of my kids that I started with, then are now sophomores, juniors in college. And I got a couple that I'm sure on their way.
I think that's awesome, dude. I think the kids are really lucky to have a coach that, that cares as much as you do and invests as much as you do. So shout out you, Jesse, man. This is pretty cool. I love seeing, people who genuinely put in the effort and see the success. Yeah. And you guys got a great team over there. We love our guy, Thomas. He used to be on our team. He's over there helping people out. So want to give you guys a shout out one more time, and then tell our listeners, please, where can they find you? What's the Instagram handles? What's the websites? How can people connect with Active?
Yeah, absolutely. So activestrength.com. You can go on there and find any information about our adult classes and our youth sports performance programs. Also, our Instagram is Active Strength. You can find a lot of information. That one is really kind of focused on basically our High Rocks classes, our adult classes, but you'll see some kid stuff sprinkled in. And then if you're just, solely after the sports performance stuff, we have our page on Instagram called Actively Speeding. So that's where you'll find a lot of stuff about the youth training there.
Very cool, man. We got 2 more questions for you. Since you are a Kansas City born and raised guy.
Yes, sir.
Right down the street from Gates.
Yes, sir.
What is the best barbecue in Kansas City?
Gates Barbecue, baby.
One
spot.
Yeah.
Is it got to be Gates?
If you got one,
is it just because you live by the
right?
Come on, dude. Is it really the best barbecue?
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been a hater on Gates.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Gates sauce. He doesn't.
Right.
I'm not a fan of the sauce.
I like Gates.
You're
sauce.
not a fan of the sauce?
I'm not a fan. Too ketchupy, dude.
Crazy.
Too ketchupy.
He loves ketchup. So weird.
I do love ketchup, but
I don't
barbecue
love ketchup,
sauce
and I love Gates barbecue.
barbecue sauce. I want some Joe's like sugary stuff.
But they got the sweet mouth. You get the sweet one, man.
I don't know. The last time I haven't had Gates in probably 10 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Since before you open your gym.
It's clear he's just a hater.
Yeah, I've never heard that. Like I can get some knocks. I hear some.
I
knocks
also
on Gates,
hold
but
on. This is not just a sauce opinion. Last time I had Gates, it was relatively dry for barbecue. I didn't like that.
Okay, so yeah, again, that's some of the criticism I do hear. Ever so often. So I'll give you that one. But the sauce, that's crazy. Now, so I will say I grew up with the Gates family. One of the Gates, like my best friend growing up, was Josh Tiller Gates.
Well, I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah, I know. So if I said anything else, they would probably kill me.
Right.
But I do love Gates. It was right in my backyard, literally behind my house. So I ate it a lot as a kid. My dad grew up with the family. That's how I got so close. So we used to have it all the time. So it's what I know.
Right.
But obviously it's Kansas City, so I eat barbecue. I love it all. You know what I mean? Q39, we just took some family there that was in town. I had to take them there. And
why you didn't take them to the Gates? Just kidding.
No,
Q39 is my fave, so it's all good.
Oh yeah. No,
You also got
you can't go wrong.
if you live in Lee Summit, you got that Jack Stack there is great too.
I'm not a fan of Jack Stack.
Oh, man.
Jack Stack stars. I do the corn and the mac, like all the cheese.
It is
corn,
legendary. Yeah.
The carrot cake, but I've never had a good piece of meat there. Like,
Have their
honestly,
wings, dude.
Yeah,
Their wings are ungodly good.
yeah. But I
So
want to
good.
go to a wing spot, like
Right.
Wing Studio. If I'm having wings, I want some. I had barbecue, brisket. Like I even tried to
Isn't
land
that,
there.
isn't that Zoe's spot? Wing
So,
Studio?
Yeah.
Isn't that his business?
Yep.
Shout out Zoe Monster.
Yeah.
He's been on the pod. And then the other one I want to add, first time asking this question. You can have one protein powder, snack, drink, whatever it may be, that you got in your pantry for the rest of your life. What would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You gonna put me on the spot like that? One protein snack.
Could be the protein powder, could be a bar, could be a ready to drink, but it's got to be like specifically a protein item. Kyle, you can answer this too.
I'm a have to go with Species Nutrition isolate, like vanilla isolate, and
Isolize?
yes,
Yeah.
Isolize. That is my joint. It's clean, it's easy to digest, goes down well, tastes good.
Old Dave Palumbo, dude. He's been in the game for a while.
Dave was my coach when I was bodybuilding for a
No
while.
kidding.
Yeah, so he put
Got
me on.
famous on Fiberlize.
Yeah.
That was like his
Classic.
big thing.
Yeah, and if you would have said just any supplement,
Yeah.
that would have been the supplement.
Right.
Like,
People
Fiberlize.
people
Fiberlize
underlook
is
they
amazing.
they overlook the fiber, but man, does a lot for it.
does a wonders for you
Mm-hmm.
in so many different aspects. And his tastes like, I mean, it doesn't taste like you would think a fiber drink does. Like when you're in bodybuilding prep, we would take it, and you know how like you put water and fiber and it
Kind of
it
expands.
expands.
Yeah.
Well, you let it expand a little bit. You put it in the freezer, and it's like a slushy.
Right.
And he's got different flavors, and it tastes like orange or grape or this and that. So
It is funny when you're doing like a bodybuilding show. You're like, "This is the best thing I've ever had,"
Yeah.
and then you have it afterwards. It's so good, but
You're
it's
right.
not. It's not the same
Not
as like
nearly
when
the
you're in
same.
prep.
Everything's so bland.
Right.
By the-
Oh, yeah.
Remember Kyle once cheated on his bodybuilding diet by making an
I never
egg,
cheated. Never
cheated.
once.
He made an egg white pancake, an extra one.
Oh,
He was like, "It was the best thing ever."
I had 50 extra calories
I
from
had
an egg white pancake.
It was so good.
Right.
any
was like,
little
that's
bit.
fine.
Right.
You know what's crazy? I think is I don't know about when you were bodybuilding, but the whole food porn thing is like
Oh, it
real.
is.
Like the shows that I would watch when I was in prep were ridiculous.
Right.
Every cooking show on the planet, and now I sit back and try to watch it. I'm like, what was I doing? But I was in love with them.
I remember I'd do like cardio, and you'd be on the treadmill doing cardio, and like an Applebee's commercial would come on. You'd be like, "Dude, I would murder somebody for Applebee's at this point in my life." You know, I just see a commercial, and everything looked so delicious to me. I drive by a McDonald's. I never was. It's not like I would want McDonald's if I'm out of prep, but when you're in prep, you're like, "Dude, a bacon, a Big Mac."
Yeah.
Dude, I would kill somebody for a Big Mac at this point.
I think one of the worst things that happened to me in bodybuilding is my coach Dave Palumbo, for my cheat, he would make me go to McDonald's. And then in the beginning, I'm like, man, can I do anything else? Can I do like Five Guys or this and that?
Right.
And he was just so much about the macros and like what McDonald's did for him and his other clients that he was like, no, I want you to go and have a double quarter pounder, a large fry, and a Diet Coke, and that's all you get. But I started loving it. And,
Right.
and even after bodybuilding, it's hard for me not to get one of those every once in a while. But before I stopped eating McDonald's for like 5 or 6 years before I started working with him.
Right.
And he was like, no, I want you to have it. And I'm like, and I fell again, man, fell deep into it.
How'd you get hooked up with Dave Palumbo? Sorry, this is off on a.
This is now the afterburn.
We're now the afterburn.
Yeah. Man, no, that's a good question. Honestly, I think just doing just being deep into bodybuilding, doing research and watching a lot of his stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a huge podcast that he has. So I watched a lot of it, and when I started to take it serious and decided to go the NPC route, like I just reached out to him and started chopping it up, and he was real cool. I went down to Florida and met him, and went to a seminar he held. And
RX Muscle, man, still one of the best like bodybuilding news outlets there is.
Yeah, he keeps it solid and 100, man. He's gonna tell you like it is. He's gonna tell you where you're at, tell you if you're slacking, tell you if you got a chance to win or not. Like, I think, and he's so good and on point. Like, I thought that I was dealing with an assistant or like AI before AI got big, because he would message me at like midnight, like 1 o'clock in the morning, with like replies to my stuff, and I'm like, it's no way he's up this late doing this stuff, like coaching. I'm sleeping with my family. I'm not. But he does it. He lives this stuff and breathes it, man. You send
well,
him
you can
pictures
tell he
and
does,
boom.
man. Yeah,
He's got a separate phone for all of his clients. Like, he's right back to you. I'm like, he's a really good coach.
I love
That's
that,
sick, man.
Yeah.
That's sick. Well, dude, appreciate you coming on, man. It's been awesome hearing your story. It's been awesome hearing about the gym and your passion for coaching kids. You know, we just really, really appreciate you being in the local fitness community, because like Jeff said, it's like as many positive influences that could be in the Kansas City fitness community, I think the better, you know, and you're definitely one of those people, man.
Awesome.
So thank you so
Jesse.
much, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity, fellas.
Awesome, man. Thank you.